Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for Super Sun's Fortress of Attitude. And in today's comic review, it is going to be Robin issue 10 by Joshua Williamson. And as you can see here, I have all three covers that are connected to this particular one, to which I'll be rating all of them. So, do any of these covers in any way, shape or form connect to something that's happening inside of the story? Sure enough, it pretty much does. So, for the first cover, which you see on the left-hand side, which has the family tree on it, I gave it a 9 out of 10. For the middle one, which I'll now just show a little bit more of that one, and that is the Lazarus Demon, I gave an 8.5 out of 10. And last but not least, the one on the far right, a 9 out of 10. Now I'll be using the variant to show some of the internal art. Now this is some of the internal art around the beginning, and as we can see here, we've got Mother Soul, Damien's great grandma, and we can start to see the connection towards the demon. And in this actually felt like Damien's grandma, or great grandma, showing Robin, or Damian Wayne Robin, what led up to the events of her being up on the island. So he's getting a bit of a history lesson, and magic is being involved, or being used. Now this is some of the art around the middle of the story, and this is her first experience, or her experience with the Lazarus Pit. And even though it sort of looks like Ra's al Ghul doesn't quite believe her at the time, and considering what happened on the island, it makes it believable. I'll now start to show some of the art towards the end. And this is some of the art towards the end. And last but not least, the very end. So for the internal art, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Now it's time to jump into the story. One thing I really enjoyed about this story is that Damien got to see through his great-grandmother's eyes as to sort of how she actually ended up on Lazarus Island. And I really enjoyed that. And I thought, some people, I know some people on some of their channels didn't enjoy it that much, but I think it actually works for Damien and his character. Considering some of the things that the Al Ghul family have been involved in the past. And it was also nice to see how Ra's al Ghul is also responsible for not just the League of Assassins, but also the League of Shadows and its creation in the DC universe. Even though that's also been rebrought and repurposed across in other stories. Moving into the League of Lazarus, which Mother Soul, in essence, played a part in its creation and its believers. So they're basically a devout group that worship the Lazarus demon. Now, jumping into the next thing is, did this have any comic references? And sure enough it did. as we got the comic reference of the previous issue being Robin issue 9, as it also states that the tournament is also over in that comic reference. So do pay attention to that. And what happens next is, well, what will be happening next issue, which many of us are waiting for. In regards to the area of time, we had Lost in Time and Space, but we do realize that he is under some magic by his grandmother, and we do eventually move back into the present. Some of the locations that we see not only in the past, to which Damien was seeing the eyes through his great-grandmother, was the Temple of the Demon, then eventually Lazarus Island, and then we return back to the arena in the present, as well as the island. The cast of characters consisting of Mother Soul, of course Damian Wayne, wouldn't be Robin without Damian Wayne, Ra's al Ghul, Ravager, Flatline, Hawk, the Lazarus Demon. So we got to see the Lazarus Demon again, in essence how the Lazarus Demon itself is somewhat not just a supernatural force, but I'm also wondering if it could somehow be cosmically related in the DC universe, just by going in relation of some of the visions that Mother Soul had in the story. And last but not least, Talia al Ghul, who turned up at the end with Raish. For the story rating overall, I gave it a 9 out of 10. And we'll see you again at Super Sons Fortress of Attitude, and stay tuned for the next Super Sons review that will go up on the channel. Until then,